What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Sorry, the audio stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended. Oh, maybe I have these speakers on. Oh, geez. Now it says excellent. Okay. I think we're good. All right. Technical issues aside. Yeah, looking good. All right. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Unconventional Mindset. My name's Odum. And yeah, what are we doing here? The same thing we do every other day is, try to take over the world. I got to get that clip of Pinky in the Brain. Pinky in the Brain? I think it's Pinky in the Brain. Where it's the mouse duo in Animaniacs, this old school cartoon, where Pinky would always ask him, what are we gonna do tomorrow? It's like same thing we try to do every day. Try to take over the world. Anyways, which is what we're doing. Every day we live stream our process and our thoughts and whatever, whatever kind of comes out of my mouth and my brain or whatever about trying to build $1 million company, or a company that's going to generate us $1 million in revenue every single day. And so yesterday we're talking a little bit about pricing and kind of started on the style guide, but really kind of in that pricing mentality. And I had a meeting with my business coach, I guess today, and we're talking a little bit more about that. And yeah, we kind of have the plan in place. We had some discussions about how to perform customer analysis or ask customer questions to figure out if you're actually solving the right problem and if your solution actually fits what problem that your customer has. So we talked about different ways that we're going to be able to do that in the future, I think. But first things first is we got to get a few customers that are willing to pay and use the product, all that kind of stuff. And then we can start with customer interviews and things like that. But anyways, I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that I think I have a pretty good handle on the problem. I think there's still things that I know can be tweaked or changed or what have you. But I'm happy to work really hard over here in the next couple weeks. And I'm thinking that February 1 is going to be when I'm going to be ready to actually start promoting pixel pieces and launching or whatever. It depends on how far along we get with the style guide and making sure all the components that I want to have for launch are actually built, because I think there's going to be some pretty big updates to the components that we already have. So that being said, there's a really big push for me now in my mind to really work on really unifying the look and feel of all of these components, which is what we're going to be doing today, is getting into Figma here and updating or creating a style guide, which is going to help us. This is different than the style guide in Webflow, which is more of a framework for how to easily build different pieces of your website. And it has things like grids and layouts and all that kind of stuff. This is more of style guide that is specifically for what the look and feel of each different piece in the component library and templates and whatever, those are going to look like. And yes, a lot of those are going to be built into the actual style guide, but this is going to be a lot of things to, that aren't necessarily, I guess they are pretty much going to be in the style guide. I would imagine so. Anyways, I think you know what I mean. I'll just kind of get into things here. How do I zoom in? Okay. So I started to just kind of create a little bit of a documentation here in Figma. So the purpose of the style guide, what is it that I want to do with this, and what's its reason for being? And it's to create a unified look and feel so that we can use that to build out our components and UI elements for the pixel pieces library. So that's what we're going to do. That's the purpose of why we're building this thing. And I want to do this here as opposed to doing it within Webflow, because here I can kind of put things together and I can kind of bunch it all into kind of one area, and we can kind of see how things are going to look. And of course, I think there's going to be some merit and benefit to having this in Figma as opposed to just in Webflow for maybe it could be kind of some value add that we can give to clients who have purchased our component library and want to have access to the Figma styles for, whatever reason. Okay, so what do I want to include in this style guide? So we want to have headings. We want to have all of our our colors, primary, secondary, and accent colors. And I should also put in also so dark, standard, and light versions as well of all those colors. We want to have the gray colors, the spectrum of light to dark. It's usually probably going to be like 7 variations, where you have neutral and then 3 on the light side and 3 down to the dark side. Sound like some kind of Jedi. And 1 in the middle. And then you also have white and black, of course. I'll just put that in here. I mean, that's going to be pretty straightforward because it's probably actually going to be black and white. Black and white, white and black. Paragraph styles, strong. Actually, I should probably put in italics. I mean, that's just going to be standard. Well, strong could be a little bit different because sometimes you want to have it set a specific color. Input items, so labels, field elements, checkboxes, radios, and text areas, and the file upload button, and also some fields that have icons. So think of like a search bar or something with email address or what have you, or phone number, which just has an icon within the actual box. So we want to have that. So then we have our buttons, and then actually this here, I should probably put this up here. With the different states of the buttons. So we have the default state, hover, pressed, focus, disabled. There's no disabled state that you can put on a button within Webflow, but there might be a reason why you might want to have a disabled button look on like on a website. So that we can just disable that with CSS. So it basically it'll look like a button, but it won't be operable. So you might want to have that if, you know, a deadline is passed or something's not available for you to, you know, click here to upload or whatever. It's not ready or whatever. So there's basically there's some use cases that you might want to have that. Drop downs, so the look and feel of a drop down when you click on a select field. Actually, that should probably that's actually different. So what I was thinking here is like a select. And there's different types of selects. There's multi-select and like single select. So we'll just do select here. Drop downs. So that's what I was thinking when I wrote this here. But now, do I want to have a secondary drop down? I mean, I know there's drop downs for navigation items, but there are instances where you do want to have drop down items that are not necessarily tied into a navigation. Yeah, we'll keep that in there. We'll see. We'll see as we're designing. Range sliders and toggles. So those are more UI elements. So think of just a bar with a circle where you can kind of grab, you know, the slider and then, you know, move it up and down. And then toggles too, if, you know, something's on or off, basically almost like kind of like a pill button. So again, mostly like UI elements there. Messages, and I should say maybe / alerts. Success, error, warning, pretty standard stuff. A popover. Popovers when you hover over top of an element and basically like a tooltip kind of shows up, but have this one more styled, like not like a title tag, but something a little more interactive. So we could even call it a tooltip. And then different states of the input fields, which I should probably actually take this one also. And we'll put it here with the input items. And yeah, different states. Again, pretty much the same as the button states. You have a default state, hover, pressed, focused, and placeholder. And yeah, and a dark theme. So then I was thinking, taking all this stuff, especially when you're doing the text, the headers, and actually even pretty much everything, actually, to have it like a dark theme so that we can switch from a light to dark. So that's what I'm thinking of having in the style guide, and having all these different, it's almost basically having like all the different HTML elements kind of ready to go. So that way, when we go ahead and build our components, we'll just be able to use them as we see fit, not have to worry about what the look and feel of those individual pieces are going to be, but then we could use that to build our components, where we can build different hero sections, we can build different pricing tables, we can build different call to action sections, and not really have to worry so much about what those individual little pieces are going to look like. There might be some more things here that I want to add to the style guide as I go about improving the different components that we already have on Pixel Pieces. But for now, I think this is a pretty good list. So I think with this list, we can basically pretty much go ahead and start putting this together. Now the main thing that I remember I was wrestling with yesterday, which is why I kind of was like, I need to think about this a little bit, was about what font to use and what should we have for a default font. So I see there's a few people in the stream. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Much appreciate your time. So I was wondering about the default font because, like, I mean, there's a certain amount of fonts that I like to use. I'm kind of one of those designers that is pretty, once I get a set of fonts that I like, I pretty much just kind of rotate using, a set of, maybe 5 or 6 different fonts. And I'd be good with just having those fonts, but they're not standard fonts. So I want the style guide and I want the pixel components, like the pixel pieces, the components, the component library. I want them to still look good. And I'm debating whether I should have them use a specific font. Because like right now, I mean, let's just go into, because right now when you're looking at pixel pieces and you're looking at the components, they are, whatever, let's just look at, where am I? Right, if we look at this component right here, it's this articulate font, right? So this is zoomed in so much too, everything looks super, super big. But I don't, like, when people are going to cut and paste this, it's going to look completely different because it's going to default to Arial. So the question that I had, or what I was contemplating, was, do I use one of these default web fonts or even a default Google font that already comes pre-built within Webflow? Because when someone cuts and pastes something that's already here, that's a default font, it should handle that style and should display it properly. But one thing that I was noticed as I was kind of testing this out and playing around yesterday is that I'm thinking when we're using, definitely when we build components, none of the pieces, let's go back here. So this whole section here, this is what's copied and pasted and what copy and pasted when someone takes this component. So none of these things should have actual fonts assigned to them. So that way, when you cut and paste, whatever the default font is of the project should come into play. And so, and yeah, Sam just kind of goes to the point that I was trying to make. So that's exactly what I was thinking is basically keeping it with either system UI or having it Arial, which is just kind of default, which is kind of having that look. So everything should look the same when they're cutting and pasting. Sam, welcome. Good to see you. I don't know if you caught yesterday. I mentioned you quite a bit yesterday because we're talking a lot about pricing, and I listened to that podcast that you mentioned, and I listened to a few other ones actually as well too, kind of on the topic, and came to the conclusion that number one, totally right on point in terms of charging a lifetime fee as we get started here with Pixel Pieces, and kind of I settled on a price of I'm pretty sure it's going to be about $250 at the start here. So that's interesting. So I'm pretty pumped about that. No worries at all. I mean, it's on the internet, so it's not like you won't be able to see it if you ever really want to see me rambling on about what the hell I want to do with pricing here. And I was talking to my coach about it today, and he kind of understood what I was saying, and he thought it was a good. I thought yeah, I'm pretty sure he thought it was a good idea from what we were talking about. So yeah, it's pretty good. And it just made a whole lot of sense in terms of whether you're charging a monthly subscription fee or it's a lifetime fee, you still have to worry about getting new customers. Just because you have a subscription model and people subscribe, it's not like they're going to be subscribed for forever. So you do have to deal with customer churn. And yeah, if you're a company like Shopify or what have you that has like 3% churn kind of thing month to month, that's not, insurmountable. But for something like this where people can kind of come in, buy it for 1 month, download every single component, and then just like, okay, well, why am I still subscribed? I don't need this anymore. So I can imagine the churn would probably be a lot higher than something like 2 or 3%. So I think it's a good way to go. And anyways, we'll see how things happen, and then we'll start talking about how business is going. Yeah. So where do I want to go here? So yeah, so within our components and within Webflow, we're not going to be assigning any fonts to or font styling to any of the elements. I think that's the right word in Webflow. Okay. So with all that being said, I think what I'm going to do here when I'm making the style guide is I'm going to default it. I think we can go, so this one doesn't have system, whatever. Cause I think my system, it's not Arial. It's something else for Windows. I think, yeah, anyways, doesn't matter. I'm going to stick with Arial. Because it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, so I don't think any other component libraries do have a rate limiter. I know UI 8 does, because they limit how many things that you can download. But I hate that. I personally hate that. It's really annoying, especially if, there's quite a few things that I want to download in that day because I have a big project and I want to just take in a bunch of different samples and try a few different things out. And it's like, oh, sorry, you've reached your download limit for the day. It really pisses me off. So I want to be true to myself and be 100% honest. And if it's something that I don't like to do myself or that I don't like having imposed on me, then I'm not going to build it into my own application. Even though I fully understand why it's there and it totally makes sense and I totally agree with it on a protect yourself level. But for me as a consumer, I hate it because I don't like to be treated as though I'm just going to rip you off, but that's what it is. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing, but that's just my philosophy on this. And I could be wrong. So we'll see how this ends up turning out in my business. But, yeah, I hate it. And I just, I won't do it. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So you're writing one for, put it on 80% of the library. I'll not block the user. I'll just get an alert. So that's different. That's actually really a good idea. So you can actually kind of see still and tracking all that information and tracking that data and being, hey, wait a minute, this guy's downloading so many different things. And then you get an alert and then you could decide what to do from there, which is totally, totally cool. But I guess then the question is then having a rate limiter doesn't matter, or you don't need one if you're just charging a one-time fee, which is kind of one of those other beauties of having this one-time fee kind of mentality is you don't have to worry about that. You have a price, just like the guy was saying in the podcast, you have a price and the customer knows the price. You as a business owner knows the price or knows the value of what you're providing. Everyone's happy with the exchange and you make a value exchange because at the end of the day, that's what commerce is. It's like, you have something I want, blah, blah, blah. Let's exchange value. And then everyone's happy. So I'm looking forward to it. All right. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. You've seen people reselling products. Yeah, I mean, I think as a creative, there's always going to be people that are going to steal. And I think you can try your hardest to try to make it as hard as possible for people to steal from you. But at the end of the day, a stealer is going to steal. And I fully believe that if they can steal, your code, or they can steal, whatever your product is, but they can't steal you. They can't steal your business. They can't steal your philosophy. They can't steal how you interact with your customers and how you conduct business. None of that stuff can be stolen. So if you do business with integrity and honesty and people come to trust you and all that kind of stuff, no one can steal that from you. And I think you'll always be able to, no one's going to steal your stuff and then post it somewhere else, charge half the price, and you're never going to get customers again. I think if you're a good business person and you do things the right way, I think the market will reward that. And think about how you do shopping and how you like to buy things. It's good to support people that you want to support. So I know that when I'm buying something, if it's people that are doing things online that I think are super cool and they're awesome, I'll buy their stuff because I want to support them. So, I can't remember who was talking about that in terms of, I think it was Simon Sinek in his Start With Why. If you're a company and you know why it is you're doing, and it permeates throughout the whole company, people can't steal that. There's no way that they can steal that, even if they try to steal and copy what you're doing. He's talking about people try to copy Apple or whatever. It's you can make an Apple clone completely, but no one's going to buy your stuff unless because you're not Apple. So, anyways, I always hate that Apple example because it's that's the biggest company in the world. So it's okay, but I think it gets people the point. Anyways, we're rambling on here. Let's get to work. Okay. So I think we're good with the initial pieces. So let's just make this thing. And this isn't going to be I should say to that, I don't want this to be a big thing. I'm not going to spend 3 weeks on this style guide, because at the end of the day, these components are going to be fairly minimal. But I've kind of changed my thought process a little bit in that I want them to have their own personality and their own look and feel, so that when you're on Pixel Pieces, that you're looking at a Pixel Pieces component, right? Because it just has that look, right? So that's what I'm going for. But at the same time, it is kind of like the Reloom philosophy of, here's almost a blank slate for you to take with you and, style it yourself, put your own design to it. But the things that I'm going to be updating are generally the things that people are going to be updating when they put their own components anyways, the color, the typography, the border radius, the buttons, these are pretty simple things here. Okay, so let's make a new frame. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think I'm getting the hang of this. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm not getting the hang of Figma. This thing's going to kill me. Can't start getting confident here. Okay, so we're going to call this, well, this is just the style guide. I don't know if we should even call it. Okay, let's just not call it anything just quite yet. Okay, so is Alt zoom, control mouse. Okay, so we're going to start with our headings. All right, so this is going to be interesting. So we should say, how should we design this actually? How do we design the style guide? So I think maybe we should do it in 2 different sections. I think we should have a section here which will have the details. This will say H1 heading, and then maybe a text below where this will say what the font size is. Whatever, something like this. and maybe line height. Oh, can you even work in EMs in here? You can't, eh? You just work in. Okay, so I'll have to do some conversions off the fly, which is fine. So maybe we can do something like this where we can say 3, that would be 36. No, it would be 16 times 3 is 38. No, 48. My goodness. Okay, I think that's right. All right, so that's kind of here. Maybe let's make this a little bit. Okay. How do we draw? What's the best way to draw a line? Probably use this line tool. Okay, so let's make it, oh, I don't know, 225, sure. Okay, this font size looks really small. So this is 16. Okay, let's leave that there for now. And then let's actually have, so we need to have a standard heading text. We could just say, welcome to Pixel Pieces. That's boring. Got to come up with something a little bit better, but it's good for now. And this one will be, 48. Oh man, Arial just, I shouldn't say it sucks. It's just too generic. It's too, it's too boring. Yeah, something like that. And how do you do the line height? It's percentage, right? 1.2 EMs, that's not right. It's not 120%. Oh, that's different. 120%. I think that would be it, because 1.2, because 1 would be 100%. I think, which would be 16 pixels. But 1.2 would be relative to 3. Yeah, let's just try it. Let's leave it at that and see if that works. I think that's correct, but I could be wrong. Okay. Yeah, I think this is fine. I mean, this is basically what I want to say. We'll worry about aligning things and everything. Yeah. Yeah, 1.2 is fine for large text. Yeah, I like it too. It's kind of like my standard. Maybe 1.1 for smaller like paragraph text. But my question is how do you, because you can't use relative units. It doesn't look like in Figma. So how do you convey that? And I think it's 120% for the line height, because I don't think we can use EMs. Yeah, it just goes to percentage. So I think that's correct, but I don't know. Yeah, use percentages. Yeah. Yeah, because then it'll just expand with the text, which makes sense. Okay, so we'll go with that. I think this one here. Okay, I don't want to play around with. Maybe I should play around with sizing right now. Sorry, this is probably really small for you guys to see. Sorry, let me zoom in here. Maybe this will be a little bit bigger. So yeah, I'll try to be a little bit more aware of what you guys can see. My bad there. Okay, so, but I also I'll probably need to be zooming in and out just so I can make sure that it's the, like it looks good for me. It looks good for everybody, I guess. Okay, actually I could probably just align these, right? Do this, and then I could text align. There we go. Perfect. maybe 10. So that's the same. I think that goes down 1, and this one, there we go. Oh. Okay, I want, actually, yeah, let's, how do we align top? That button looks like it already is. Maybe that is interesting. How do I line it up so that this text is the same right there? Do I have to eyeball it? That's kind of annoying. Okay, so let's throw this here in a group, I guess. And this is heading information, I guess. And I guess the smart thing to do in Figma here would be to make this into like a component. So that way when I do update, say like the colors or maybe the positioning, the positioning won't change. But if I update the colors and stuff, then that should change all of them, I imagine, right? So if that's the case, let's try to do that. And how do we do that? Create component, Control Alt K. Okay, so now we're gonna just copy that, and we're just gonna keep going down. Now it's updating all the text. Oh, that's because I used the wrong thing. Okay, undo all of that. Because I changed the instance. Okay, so this one here should be H2. So if I change this, okay, good. Okay, that makes sense. That's what I want. Okay, H2, I don't know, let's go down the line here, 2.5. And I'm going to cheat and use a calculator. 2.5 times 16 is 40. Oh, I should have done that because 8 is half of 16. And is there a button to copy? Oh, yes, just Alt and drag. Nice. And 40. Okay, so how does that look? How do I zoom? What do I want? 100%? Okay, that's gonna look good. That's what I want. Okay. H3, we go down to 2. Actually, we don't need to 0. And that is 32. Okay. H4. Yeah, so now we got H4, H5, and H6. I think 4, 5, 6. I think we go down to 1.75, which I think is 28. Let me make sure that that's correct. Yeah, 28. And then H5 will be 1.5 and H6 will be 1.2. 1.25, I should say. Okay, and here, what do we say? 28. And let's go to here. We actually want to just make this quite a bit bigger. Duplicate. H5. 1.5. 1.5 gives us 16 plus 8, which is 16 plus 8. I should know this. 24? 16 plus 8. Yeah. 24. I think so. Oh my goodness. I'm killing myself. 1.5 times 16. Yeah. And 24. And last but not least, H6 heading be 1.25. Oh, it should be 20 pixels. Just aligning things up here. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, none of these are bolded. And I think for our headings, we're probably going to want to have them to be bold. To boldly go where no heading has gone before. There we go. So now actually, if I update this, am I going to get it for all of them? Oh, I am. That is spectacular. Okay. Excellent. So we're going to go, actually, we're going to go up here. We're going to go font weight. 700. That's perfect. I don't think we need to get too complicated here of throwing any 600s or 500s, especially for the smaller headings. I think we could just leave it at this, which is good. It would be nice to have a little bit of a longer text so we can kind of see what these are going to look like when they go to multiple lines. But I think we can worry about that later. If I change the name of this, what should we call this? Let's just call it line for now. Is it going to change? Oh, it does. Okay, this is cool. I like it. So let's group this as well into just headings. Okay. Bum, ba, 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 ba. Nope. What's my... I feel like there's no... Okay, I can go like this. There we go. Yeah, I can think of some kind of fun things that we can do here with this. With how the layout is and the colors and stuff like that, but we'll get to that. We'll get there. So this X shows us right there. So let's give it an even spacing there. Okay. Actually, sorry, I'm just trying to see what the right spacing is between each of these headings. That's not so bad. I think this one. Okay. Make it a little bit tighter. Okay, looks good. Okay. So that's the headings. That's the headings. Let's get the colors. How do we want to do colors? Well, we definitely need rectangles. So let's start there. And I think I prefer smaller. Well, yeah, I do, but maybe just for the color swatches. Sorry, let me zoom out here to, okay, that's 100. I mean, should we make them a little bit more rectangular? No, I like square. So let's say how's 75? Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, okay, let's leave it there for now. And I think I want to do just like nice rounded corners to just have a little bit of a softer edge on everything and not be so harsh on the corners. Because a lot of components are just kind of squared and a little bit more rigid. I think Pixel could use a little bit of a softer edge. That sounds weird. Okay, so I know for our style guide, let's bring it up here real quick. If we go to colors, I thought I went to colors. What? Text color, background color. There we go. So yeah, I didn't review these. These ones aren't the greatest colors. So I like having 3 different colors for the primary, secondary, and then the accent. And then we have our neutral colors and then black and white. So we're going to stick with the same thing, but we're just going to come up with a better color scheme because this is to Microsoft Office, 1997 blue and red, which is still pretty good, but I think we could do better. And I want something that's not going to clash as well when it's within Pixel Pieces too. So I need to keep that in mind because Pixel Pieces has its own style and its own style guide, and its own look and feel. So it needs to fit in with this very nicely. So once we finish this style guide, it's either going to be they're going to fit very nicely and we're not going to have to do much work, or we're going to have to do some work within Pixel Pieces to make it so that when this style guide is incorporated in and you see all the different components, whatever, displayed in, that they meet. Maybe they'll use the same style guide. So maybe that'll be a thing, minus the fonts, of course. So, yeah. Right. So we need, okay, where are we? We're rectangles. Let's go below headings here and let's actually, let's group this. I know there's Control G, right? Control G. I'm going to do this, call this colors. Okay. So this is just a color swatch. And we're going to put in, we need some text because this is going to be, I guess, just primary. And just our regular 16-point font. And then I think below that, we're going to want the hex value, right? Whatever it's going to be. So you can go here and here. Whatever, we'll align things later. Okay. And this color swatch, we need to go into this fill. So we don't have any document colors. So, and we haven't finalized. So, right. So I'm thinking, I think there's two colors that we can go for. We can go for a blue, which is kind of like your typical corporate color, but I think we'll go more of a tealish kind of blue. Or we can go with like a purple, which has kind of always been a little bit kind of the pixel color. At least it was initially. I kind of moved it more to blue, like a darker blue. And I'm almost thinking that if the style guide is blue, then Pixel Pieces will be purple. So, and I always loved the blue and purple look. It's almost kind of like what my lights are right now, actually. And what it reminds me of, which is maybe really stupid, but whatever, I like it, is is Star Wars. And the blue lightsaber and the purple lightsaber. Those are like my two favorite lightsaber colors. And then whenever I played like a Star Wars video game and I got to like build my own lightsabers, I would have like double wielding lightsabers. One would be blue, one would be purple. That's just my thing. So, that's what I'm thinking for this color. Not that anyone cares about why things are going to be blue and purple, but that's kind of like my, I don't know, my thing, I guess. So that being said, let's start with blue because, yeah, it's the most common, and I think that's not a bad color to use. Like it's a good common like tech color. And I don't want to go green, because I feel like that's more like Shopify, e-commerce, kind of thing, even though it's not as popular. So let's try to find a nice, good lightsaber-y color, kind of blue. So the blue that I think I'm using for Pixel is kind of more muted, kind of over in here. Like right now, it's kind of around this area, and that's a little bit too dry. So we need to throw a little bit more saturation in there, basically. So at least for my tastes and what I'm kind of going for. So let's go a little bit more into the teal. And there's probably going to be a lot of like refining. I'm sure there's going to be lots of refining. That's not bad. I really love your you guys your input here. So do let me know what you think. If we're on the right path or not here. In terms of whether you're feeling the colors or not. So this actually, I want to call this whole thing is a color swatch. And this is just the swatch. And this here is going to be the color name. And this is going to be the color hex value. Yeah, it's not a bad color. Okay, so okay, we want to center align them, I guess. So trying to see what's a good spacing for these guys. Yeah, it's not bad. And these guys, actually, they probably, if we make the text centered, so that way when we update these, that they're going to respond by not messing up with the alignment. Okay. So I think this is good. So I think we can make this one into a component. And that's primary. And actually, what's this name? This is the actual swatch color. And I hate when it's capitalized. I don't like it. I like it lowercase. Then I could just quickly see what's number and what's letter. Okay. And I think if we copy and paste this one, can we name this? We can still name it primary, but I think we could name it primary. And we can name it dark. And then we gotta go in and then we gotta change the fill color. Here's where it can get interesting. Do we want to throw in a little bit more blue? Yeah. Ooh, I like that. But I do need to make it go a little bit more. This is tough. Because I don't want to just desaturate it. Yeah. I do want to have it go more into the blue. Not too dark. Yeah, something around there is not so bad. It's primary dark. Once we actually get these things in Webflow and actually start converting our components to these new colors and putting that in our like our swatches and all that kind of stuff, then we'll really start to see if it's gonna make sense. Or like, I mean, if these colors are working, and I'm sure we'll do our tweaks and whatever as well too. Nothing is ever perfect the first time. Although that would be really cool if it was. 46, 47, 49, 50. And primary light. I wonder if it makes sense to put it on this side. So we can kind of see it flow from light to dark. In fact, let's throw this one here. Make that light. I wonder if we scooch a little bit more to the teal. So we are going lighter and darker, but we're also going a little bit more, you know, up and down the rainbow or whatever it's called. The color warmth, I guess, maybe. No, that's not the right word because it's not going. Does it go from? No, it doesn't go from Kelvins. It goes from like the UV spectrum, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just making up words now. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, different colors have different wavelengths, so I think it's going up and down. I just don't know which way is which. Mm-hmm. Yeah, around there. All right. Let's just group these ones. And we'll call this primary. But if I duplicate this, okay, it doesn't duplicate the actual component, which is cool. That's kind of what we want. So let's go. And this is also, or this is now going to be our secondary. Second, if I could spell. Secondary and secondary. Actually, if we go back here, that's light, and this swatch color. There we go. Okay. So if blue is our primary color, what are we going to have for our secondary color? So in this instance, if pixel pieces is going to be purple, then it can't be purple. And it could be green. Green, let's look at the color wheel here for a second. Color wheel. All right. I guess green, purple, and blue is kind of like a little trifecta. So if they're all kind of around the same, yeah, purple, blue, kind of green, that won't be so bad. The other color that might look decent on all three of them is if we get the one that's complete complementary. So, and that might be our accent color, which might be an orange. In fact, I think that's exactly what our accent color is going to be. Actually, no, is it? I need to think of it on its own, not with pixel pieces. So if the primary color is blue, the accent would be great to be orange. But then if that's the case, a secondary color, it doesn't really fit the equation. Because generally, like, where's the color wheel? If you can see this. So like if you pick blue, like this dark blue here is completely 180 to this orange. So if you pick that as your two colors, one's primary, one's secondary. If you want to pick another accent color, like you usually want to have them evenly spaced within each other in the wheel. So like if you pick this blue, red, like just make this peace symbol, like this blue, green, and yellow, or sorry, blue, green, and then red. Those three colors would work really well together as complementary. But one that's exact blue and then like right opposite from it, and then another one just kind of a little off to the side. It's not ideal. So I don't know if I could see, like they have, do they have different, the color harmonies? Yeah. So like a triad where, yeah, they take things that are three all kind of along, like the ratio between them, or the ratio, this angle here between these lines, whatever, 360 divided by 3. So like 120 or something like that. Or should be like exactly that. That's the same. That's consistent. But if you have the complementary, yeah. So this is what I was thinking. If it's a split complementary where you have a small angle between the two, and then that color in the middle goes right up. So that might be what we'd have to do if we have, you know, if we said we wanted orange to be our complementary color, which is kind of around here, you basically have to have like a blue and a teal. But if our primary color is more in that blue into teal, this brings this orange into this more orangey red, like a pumpkin color. So we might want to do something like that. What is that? Oh, I don't like what happened there. So this is like, the further out you go here, the more saturated it's going to get. Oh, and you can play with each individual. This seems too harsh for, yeah, the split complementary. I feel like it's a little bit too harsh for component library. No, that's way too many things. Oh, this is setting that individual color. Okay, weird. Shades, no. No. Whoops. I do. Where is my Figma? Here it is. So let's go here. So I like this type of green. It has a little bit more aqua in it. That's not bad. Is that too bright though? It is screaming a little bit bright for me. So we could desaturate it slightly. So maybe something like this. And then secondary dark. Again, let's go more, lean into the greens here, just a little bit more. So where you'd use these, just imagine if you're in a button and you're just hovering over the button, and then the secondary goes from light to dark. Yeah, I'm not feeling this green. I'm not feeling that green at all. light. Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that at all. I'm gonna have to do some work on really coming up with a good color theme here that I'm gonna be really happy with. I don't think I can come up with something like that in 20 minutes. So we got secondary dark and secondary. Oops, I didn't update this one. Oh, I did in the other one, not this one. Actually, let's order them in a way that makes sense. Light, swatch, dark. Light, normal, and then dark. We'll call this secondary. And the last one. We call it tertiary, or we can just call it accent, which is what I think I'm going to go for. I like that better. Accent. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Orange is such a difficult color to work with on a website. At least I found anyways. I have a client who's one of the accents is kind of an orangey color, and it's actually not too bad. But it can be difficult when trying to work it in for different media or mediums, whether it's print and things like that. Yeah, orange. So, I mean, the secondary color. Sorry, this isn't secondary. This is accent color. So the question is, do I even want... Well, I want to put it in there because it's going to be in the style guide, in the Webflow style guide for all the components. So, and they're all going to get shipped out with the default 9 different color variations: the primary, secondary, accent, along with their light and dark versions, and then with 7 like grayscale colors as well too. So even if we're not going to use one, but I think we probably will on the style guide for sure, especially if we're going to be entertaining light and dark themes. I wonder if it's more of like a brown color would be nice. Brown's also very difficult to work with. I have seen it work a few times though. All right. Accent. Okay. Yeah, if we go more into the brown, this brown's gonna have a little bit more, just have a little bit more red into it. That's not a bad color in and of itself. However, it's supposed to be complementary to this accent color that's in the middle. So maybe that one needs to go more brown. No. okay, it's just gonna, yeah, that's tough. That's horrible. It's like trying to be coffee, almost like a coffee color. Yeah. Not the greatest. Not the greatest. Okay, let's put that on the back burner just for a moment. And let's just start building out the grayscale. Because I actually do like my grayscale. And if we go to our style guide, this one's pretty good as is. Actually, I can kind of see. Yeah, a couple of them are a little bit off, actually, I would say. This one, this lightest and lighter is not bad. These ones just have, I know they have a little bit of blue, but it almost looks as if they have a little bit of red in them, especially in this neutral light one. Okay, so let's, anyways. Yeah, look at these oranges. Yeah, yeah, not good. Okay. So we got these primary and then accent. Okay, so I think, what do we need to do here? Well, let's not hijack, but let's copy this accent one. And let's call it gray. And I wonder if, no, I was going to say if this template or this style guide, and for all our components, if we just use generic, like AAA or whatever, 1111, blah, 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 whatever, just super generic, the grayscales. But I don't think that's very fun. And because again, I almost want this pixel pieces, when you put all the components together, you have the look of a site that's, that you could almost just launch it as is. But that you probably just don't want to, because you probably want to add in your own things to really kind of make it your own. So that's kind of the look and feel that I'm trying to go for with these components. So with that being said, having just super generic, plain gray colors, I don't think is going to be exactly what I want. So I know what we need. We need to, actually, let's just do one at a time. Okay. And you're not going by, not snapping. There you go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Actually, we're going to want 9. So let's do 1 there. And then 1 here, because we're going to have black on one side and then white on the other. So, I mean, that's, oh, what's going on? Ah, crap. Jeez. Color name. Let's get in there. Edit. Yeah. Okay. So this swatch, we can fill it with white, and we can give it a stroke. And guess, yeah, we can just do it 1 for now. Or 1 pixel and just keep it at black. And this one here is black. And the swatch, of course, is going to be black. Okay, those 2 are easy. Those are probably the 2 easiest colors we're going to have to do today. Easiest ones to figure out anyways. Okay, so now we just want to go up and down the scale. And we can go middle gray. What is middle gray? Is it... I can't remember what it is. Middle gray, or like 50% gray. What's 50% gray hex? 7F. Okay. Or, oh, now it's 8080. Okay, so let's go. Where are we? And actually, what do we call this? We call this one neutral. Okay. I like that. That was a good name. I don't know if I chose that or not. Okay, neutral. So that is neutral right there. So let's have a look at that. And let's slide this into our teal color. And let's ever so slowly move it out into the blue. Just to give it a little something. Super subtle. Okay. And then we'll go neutral dark. Neutral darker. And neutral darkest. Let's pick this here. Something like this. Yep. Ah. And a little bit darker more. Not bad. And then the last one, darkest, which will be the darkest color of them all. Feel maybe a little bit more blue. As you go darker down into the colors, you can add just a little bit more of that color back to offset it going darker. Okay, so I can see there's a little bit of some different green tinges that I'm gonna have to play around with. You might not see it because number one, maybe it's too small or whatever, any kind of compression in YouTube or whatever the video. But I also have a calibrated color monitor as well, so it's kind of coming through pretty clear for me. So I'll do some adjustments on that. Well, like obviously. But I'll do it, you know, later tonight or something like that. Okay, so all right. So neutral light, darker, darkest. And a little lighter again. Neutral lighter. Let's copy that. Neutral lightest. Right, something like that. That's good for borders and things like that. Okay, and then white. Okay, so that's good. So we have all that lined up. What else do we have on our list? We've got a lot. We got colors and grays and black and whites, which we got. So then it's paragraphs, text, and kind of all the inputs and states and stuff. Which actually, it looks like this is a long list, but it's actually not that bad. It's actually not that bad. Okay, so we are getting on to about an hour and a half now, and it's getting actually pretty late because I started late today. I was doing lots of just business planning and talk and stuff like that this morning, so I did start a little bit late. So I am going to leave it here for tonight because it's kind of supper time. Just got to get going with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working away on this tonight and tomorrow, and then we'll touch base again tomorrow. And we'll see where we are. And hopefully we can get it all sorted out and done and kind of complete and move on to the last part of getting Pixel Pieces ready for prime time and ready for, putting it out there into the world. And that just basically means we want to just make a few more components and fill that up. And then, of course, make any slight changes to the style guide within Pixel Pieces in Webflow with this new stuff that we're kind of coming up with here. So... yeah, so, oh, geez, sorry, there's a comment here that didn't come through, and I didn't see it till now. Sorry about that, Sam. I don't know why it didn't come into my thing. There's a plugin called Super Palette if you want perfect range or shades and tints. Is that a Figma plugin? Which I imagine it would be. Where do I... how do you look at plugins? Right, so let's manage plugins. So let's search Super Palette, all-in-one palette generator. Super gradient. You to create gradients. Interesting. All right. Well, let's run this, I guess. I'll try it unlimited or get it now. Well, I guess we're going to do a trial. No save palettes. I look at these, that kind of bright colors. Not bad. Oh, look at that, eh? Oh, that's really nice. And then it gives you the actual, like whatever AAA rating or whatever it's called. I don't know what that's called, but in terms of what the contrast is going to be, whether it's black on white. That's actually really cool. This is actually really good. It's pretty handy. So thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. And sorry, I don't know why this didn't come through. I have this other thing that filters the comments, and then they kind of come in, and I can kind of select them so I can put them on display. But it's not working. It stopped working. And it didn't tell me it stopped working, which is annoying after I go through all this time and getting all these colors. All right. Yeah, I never thought of even looking at plugins because, yeah, I know Figma is super powerful with all the different plugins that it has, which is very helpful. Okay, so anyways, thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so yes, supper time for me and for you. I don't know. It's whatever it is, whatever time it is, I guess. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and we'll touch base again tomorrow because that's what we do every day, Monday through Friday. Live stream our process of building $1 million company. So have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.